quarterback.
Oh, there's a goal. At least they thought he was going to until he blew it.
This video and all of its rambling glory is brought to you by DraftKings. The baseball season may be heating up for the home stretch, but a great gauntlet is about to begin. An escape for the cities with terrible baseball and nothing to play for. Football. It's probably sacrilege I utter this word in a baseball vid, but DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL, is cooking up something special for the festivities. All new customers have to do is bet $5 on any NFL wager and receive $200 in free bets. This can be any team of your choosing. Perhaps Carolina gets revenge against Cleveland? Or what about Denver riding to glory over Seattle? Maybe the same game parlays are your angle. Combining multiple bets from the same game to have a shot at bigger winnings all season long. If DraftKings isn't available in your state, there's no need to worry. DraftKings Daily Fantasy is still available with plenty of cash prizes available for the taking. Funds deposited with DraftKings can be withdrawn at any time, so you know you won't be thrown through a ringer when you cash out. Here's the game plan. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code UTREE and receive $200 in free bets instantly when placing a $5 wager. That's promo code UTREE only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now to what you're really here for. The happenings in the baseball world. What better way to start this off than with the greatness of the New York Yankees? Their greatness is of a different variety this time around. Bronx bombing nearly every game in their sight since the All-Star break. These pinstripes were on a 120 win pace headed into July, you know that? At this point, they might be shooting for the 120 proof. Now, Yankees fans panicking over some mild wins in April is pretty commonplace, but their concerns are justified here. How bad has it been? Try being in competition for the worst record in baseball. I get injuries to keep players have had a part in this, but there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. Their hitting ability vanished faster than Kevin Spacey's reputation. Aaron Judge is the only one doing anything. Gleyber Torres has been god-awful. DJ LeMahieu has regressed. Andrew Benintendi's been a flop. And now he's injured. Josh Donaldson is raining misery on the Yankee fanbase. Management believes the answer at short is bludgeoning their fanbase with an off-position Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Who cares if he's bad at the position? Think of this one cherry-picked analytical stat. Pitching has its own issues. Clay Holmes hasn't been otherworldly. Frankie Montas brought Oakland shittiness with him to the Bronx. Garrett Cole has had literally no help from the bats. You may argue that Oswald Perez has been called up, but he'll get about 6 ABs a week during garbage time because the Yankees are stubbornly trying to prove their offseason moves right. Thanks to all of this, their division lead has whittled from 15 games to one you can count on your hand. In about 6 weeks. I think the AL East will celebrate as allies if they manage to fall. Their main competition leading the charge? Tampa Bay. Even after the gods have chosen to curse them with a litany of injuries that would kill many teams, the Rays still prevail. Who cares if most of their core is out? They still have Randy Arozarena hitting bombs. They still have unsung pitchers like Drew Rasmussen and Jeffrey Springs carrying the load. They still have depth. That's always been the key with the Rays. Next man up, no real weaknesses. Have you seen how well they've been pitching over the past month and change? Nearly every player on their roster can make an impact. And it's why they've gone from a sluggish 59-53 to winning 15 of 19. They're creeping up on the Yankees. Be careful. I also mean that for the Rays. The injury gods are still merciless. Brendan Lau's out now, but that's not the main concern. That would be Shane McClanahan, who's having a damn good season too. Hopefully he can come back before the playoffs. Some days I wonder if Toronto still has another level to unlock in their ability, or are they simply resigned to underachieving? With the Jays, there are moments where you feel they're turning the corner, then they fall back to hell with a thud. Consistently inconsistent. The only reliable aspect of the Jays. Strong start after firing Montoyo, then lose 8 of 10, rebound to take 7 of 8, then be swept by the Angels, followed by feasting on other bottom feeders in Baltimore. Confusing to you too? Good. The thing is, the Jays have mostly solved their bullpen issues in August, but now the problem is in starting pitching depth. You have these great performances by Gossman, Manoah, and Stripling, only to watch as Barrios and Kikuchi randomly implode. Then the hitting has somehow become so hot and cold it's fallen to league average. You don't know if they're going to score 10 runs or be shut out most nights. With that talent, league average? Come on, Toronto, you're better than this. You know it. The playoffs are still a very real possibility, but going further than that? I'm starting to have my doubts. Imagine saying this a year ago. The Baltimore Orioles are on the verge of making the playoffs. Even after being left for dead by the media for selling off pieces at the deadline, Camden is buzzing like it hasn't been in years. And why wouldn't it? The young talent is starting to emerge into greatness. Adley Rutschman is a piece you can build on as a cornerstone. Cedric Mullins is thriving as a cornerstone. Jorge Mateo is hitting like gangbusters. Jorge Lopez, who the hell needs him? You have Felix Bautista doing his best Mariano impression. The starting rotation isn't at full strength, yet it's still performing well. The likes of Jordan Lyles, Austin Voth, and Dean Kramer. Voth was a waiver claim 2 months ago. And the young, exciting pieces keep coming. Gunnar Henderson has joined the fray. Another top prospect who's made an immediate impact for the hitting core. Plus that hair! Magnificence! Even if they don't make the playoffs, this is an outstanding year for them. The potential for contention in the future is ripe for the taking. With Baltimore's emergence, the division doormat has been placed on top of Boston. Maintaining their hideous July, the Red Sox either used up all of their magic in June or have still forgotten how to play baseball. Every time you think they're going to snap out of it, they end up imploding and losing 6 of 7 and 9 of 12. Every time the bats try to keep them alive, then comes the awful starting pitching. Besides Eovaldi and Walker, it's a lot of pure awfulness. A team ERA near 5.5 in the month of August isn't going to get you to the postseason, boys. You think Yuris Familia is the answer to your woes? Who do you think you are, the AL Central? Very little has gone Boston's way over the past few months. Such is the tale of Chris Sale, who has suffered yet another season-ending injury while riding a bicycle. I'd say it's bad luck, but they're keeping Corin Bloom around for the foreseeable future. For the last time, Boston, you aren't Tampa Bay. Come one and come all to baseball's favorite trash heap of downtrodden franchises ready to serve as the punching bag of the first wild card. The AL Central. Who the hell wants to win it? Because quite frankly, I don't know who does. Currently leading the way is Cleveland. Mostly because they have pitching that isn't a complete shit pile. Rolling out Bieber, Quantrill, and McKenzie 3 days out of 5 should be a legitimate threat for postseason success. But then you remember the hitting has issues. Mostly with consistency, but there are pieces here. They have a nice core of 5 led by Jose Ramirez, but can it be enough to win the division? It would have if they hadn't lost 8 of 10. This is including several series against a contender in Seattle. Welcome back to the grind, Cleveland. You had your chance to break free and you kinda blew it. That opens up the door for Minnesota and Chicago. Over the past few months, the T's went from division leader to deep in the pack, hovering around 500 with, yes, consistency issues. Lose 5 of 6, win 4 in a row, lose 6 in a row, win 5 in a row, lose 4 of 5. It's damning when most of these losing streaks are against playoff contenders. And this is with Yohan Duran and Caleb Thielbar being lights out in the pen. No, their problem is in the batter's box. Not in the players themselves, even though they've just been average. They've had some quality performances even. It's in Byron Buxton. He's injured again. Only the 15-day IL, but it's still a brutal blow to take. As bad as it may be, there will be no excuses, however. There's a time to make a push, it's probably now. A birdie's told me that Carlos Correa is more than likely to opt out of his contract after this year. You kinda knew it was coming, but it will still sting nonetheless. You know, you can show up anytime you want, White Sox. We can wait all year to see you play to potential. In a normal division, a team that collapses to lose 10 of 12 would be knocked out of contention. However, the AL Central is not normal. There's still a few games within the division race because they've rebounded to form, and Cleveland and Minnesota keep tripping on their own dicks. These random glimmers of painful hope feel like watching them a few pitches into a count. They'll just say fuck it and intentionally walk the batter to first. Speaking of which, the biggest addition for September might be a subtraction. Most of the baseball sphere finally got its wish. Tony Larussa is out of the picture for now. Unfortunately, it wasn't due to termination or resignation. It's due to an undisclosed heart issue. This is truly it for him in baseball. It's a tough way to go. Unfortunately, this might be for the best for Chicago. His geriatric managing was holding them back. And teams sometimes tend to use these situations as a rallying cry. Will it though? Who knows, but they somehow still have a chance. And honestly, that's all you need. The Astros are still clicking. Not much has changed in the win-loss column. Alex Bregman is killing baseballs and paying compensation to its family. Justin Verlander is making his case for another Cy Young well known. Not to mention there's an entire army of elite pitchers behind him. Despite the strong exterior, there are some problems, however. The injury front has come to collect payment. Sure-hitting Michael Brantley won't be around for the playoff push. He's been shut down. Verlander is also dealing with a calf injury. They need him to heal quickly, as World Series fortunes depend on his presence. Despite the bad news with the Yankees' implosion, the Astros have usurped the title of best record in the AL. Relatively mild schedule, but it's still nothing to scoff at. Little else to do besides hold on to dear life. As hilarious as it may be, they aren't fading to Seattle. Right? I mentioned Seattle since they've been on another one of their patented hot streaks as of late. They are all but the legal guardians of Cleveland after these past two series. You can make that argument about a lot of the other teams they face as well. They're currently on a long winning streak to add to their claim of a playoff spot. It would be their first in over 20 years. And it's thanks to an elite starting pitching core of Ray Castillo and George Kirby. It's also due to a strong bullpen shoring up the weak lineup. However, that lineup still boasts Julio Rodriguez. This year has shown Seattle that he's something truly special. A player they need to keep around for a long time. It was done. With a premium extension, he'll be under contract for at least the next 12 years. 17 with options. With that extension alone, it's been a successful season, but there is still more to fight for. They must unleash the true demons of Chaos Ball. It is so close to reality. It just needs a few more spells. It is a sad day for Lowell Mets. Its death is being serenaded by a lone trumpet. As Edwin Diaz storms out of the bullpen to shut down opposing hitters, an army of queens appears behind him, rampaging and tearing their way through the majority of the league. Hitters performing at or near expectations. Jeff McNeil resurging back to his peak form. Dan Vogelbach. But their sticks pale to what they offer on the mound. Jacob deGrom is back, and his elite play has been sorely needed. Not due to issues in pitching, but simply to prepare for the final push. Him with Scherzer, Bassett, and more. Now, only if Taiwan Walker could return to early season 2021 form, you can make the argument that they can reach the World Series. I know it might be premature, it's ballsy to say with what's happened to them in past seasons, but this year just feels different. Not to mention they have one of the easiest schedules remaining in all of baseball. Signs point to finally being able to break their long curse. However, despite all the Mets have done, Atlanta's still hot on their tail. Brian Snitker's motivational speech in Arizona all those months ago has still resonated in his men. The winning ways have continued, as the Braves have tomahawk chopped their way to 14 of 16 victories, and 19 of 24. It's done by the starting pitching reaching a form long dreamed of. Brown Chuck mentoring a group of Kyle Wright, Max Fried, and Spencer Strider. It's in the likes of Raisel Iglesias having a strong start to aid in solidifying the bullpen. And it's especially in the hitting core, adding pieces from the farm to further strengthen it. Michael Harris is one of these men. The Braves see him as a future piece of the core. And with an 8-year extension, he'll be getting paid immediately as reward for his services. It's not just him. Von Grissom has joined the party as well. So far, he's been as good as advertised. A strong contributor with the stick to add another element to the offense. Will it be enough to overtake the Mets, however? It'll be an intriguing homestretch for the NL East, if only for the war for supremacy. Now, only if Kenley Jansen would stop blowing saves, that'd be great. They aren't near the best of their division, but the Phillies are still hanging around. It's been a strange August for them. Like many playoff contenders, there have been plenty of highs to go with painful lows. Counter that with 7 victories out of 8 before stumbling to lose 6 of 7. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop with this team, but with how well the bats have been performing, plus they've gotten Bryce Harper back in the lineup, they've thrown everything into that offense. How can you bet against that? Not to mention the pitching staff is still holding its own. It's no surprise that they're still in a wildcard spot. But can they make it far with their flawed roster? With injuries starting to take hold in the pitching staff? I don't know, but Philadelphia is intriguing to watch. There's a drive to deep left by Castellanos, and that'll be a trip to the IL. Damn it, he was just starting to rediscover his swing, too. Never doubt St. Louis. Just don't try to do it. This past month will show you why. We always think they're out of tricks in their old bag of bullshit. We always wonder if their flawed roster design will do them in, but it never does. We are the fools. They'll just throw gas past us with elite pitching. Jordan Montgomery, hell of a pickup for them so far. Adam Wainwright, somehow still pitching like he's in his prime. After that, they will hit us silly like their bats have been doing over the past few weeks. Colorado should pay another $50 million for allowing Nolan Arenado to be traded away for next to nothing. He's paired really well with Goldie, who, by the way, is having an MVP caliber season. But the real renaissance? Albert Pujols, the last gasp of a legendary career. For these past few weeks, it's like I'm watching his mid-2000s form, simply crushing home runs over the left field seats at Minute Maid Park. We thought it impossible for him to get to 700 homers, but now he's only 5 away. And with the streak he's on, it's very possible. If he doesn't, we should just give him the homers by default. We can trade a few of St. Louis's wins to get him there. The Milwaukee Brewers haven't felt right all year. The pitching staff is outstanding, but it always felt predicated on whether or not the bats managed to hit anything on a given night. As of late, they really haven't. Oh sure, depending on the day they might cobble a few runs together, but that's when they manage to hit for any sort of average. I'm not dismissing them outright, they have some solid hitters, but nothing that strikes real fear. Depth at best. Maybe someday it can truly aid that pitching core, which is the only thing keeping them alive in the hunt. And even then, it's a very frayed grasp. Milwaukee's pitching staff has been decent, but it hasn't been Milwaukee's staff. Corbin Burns is off form. Adrian Hauser's back, but showing rust. New acquisition Taylor Rogers has been okay. That's it. Woodruff, Lauer, and Peralta have been solid, but without support, Milwaukee is doomed. This is why they had a sub-500 August and are games out of a wildcard spot. To be fair, they might be doomed regardless. Unlike every other division, the NL West is all but sealed. To nobody's surprise, its mistress for the night is in LA. The Dodgers have been running on elite form for what seems to be an age. Nothing less is expected. Injuries and misfortune be damned. The goal is another World Series, and they'll stop at nothing to get it. Their starting 9 was hyped as a rival to the Murderers Row. While it hasn't reached that echelon of greatness, it's still an excellent group. However, that's not the concern for the Dodgers. That would be with the pitching staff. The good news is it's not a performance slump. There's no one healthy enough to even begin to slump. The Dodgers once boasted an entire starting rotation on the IL or suspended list. Tony Gonsolin and Clayton Kershaw are at least expected back or have returned. Walker Buehler isn't so fortunate. He needs surgery. A crushing blow for postseason aspirations. Although, if anybody has the depth to recover from it, it is LA. The scorned bridesmaid to the south, the Padres can't break through to what they want to be. No matter what they do to try and improve the squad, it tends to blow up in their faces. And it doesn't matter their approach or the reputation of the players they acquire. They have a foundation. Juan Soto has been an excellent pickup as expected. Manny Machado is raking. Blake Snell is pitching as well as he did in his Cy Young winning season. Yet they're still pedestrian. It's a frustrating experience. Kind of like watching Josh Hader in a Padres uniform. To say he's been bad is like saying the Black Death was an inconvenience. Hader is pitching like he did in the 2019 wildcard game. Nearly every game. He can't throw strikes. And when he does, they're more than likely going into the bleachers. He's not their main problem, but he's a big problem. Not to mention, Drew Pomeranz suffered a setback and won't be playing this year. Their aspirations took a massive blow in the name of Tatis. God damn it, Fernando. The one thing San Diego needed from you. The one thing! And you still couldn't do it. What's that, man? You say you took a common steroid to fight ringworm? Do you think people are really that stupid? The Padres needed you to make a push for the World Series, and now you're suspended for 80 games. Bra-fucking-vo. Take a bow. At latest in the NLDS. I talk more about the San Francisco Giants, but to be honest, do they really need to be discussed? They've completely fallen off the map. Key injuries, underperformance, everything they've held dear has been all but destroyed. Skidding to a 2-11 freefall has all but ended their playoff aspirations. Yet they'll somehow find a way to keep giving you hope. That's what the Giants do. It's what this revival these past few seasons have been all about. Even then, I honestly have more optimism about Arizona than San Francisco. I can't believe I'm actually saying these words. Be careful, the D-backs are red hot and sneaking up on people as of late. They have young talent emerging. Stone Garrett and Corbin Carroll have been called up and are making a big impact. Zach Allen is on such a roll that it's making Corbin Burns blush. I doubt they make the playoffs. It's too late and their schedule is brutal coming up, but at least it's hope for the future. Until Arizona somehow fucks everything up again.